Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to do a little five-part series this week about big reactions. And if you tend to have a hot running nervous system like I do, you might have had people tell you in the past, that was kind of an overreaction, or wow, that was a big reaction. Or you might have thought to yourself, kind of after the fact, oh, that was a really big response, or that was a really big reaction. And sometimes you may have been told, or sometimes I've thought to myself, God, that was so, like that reaction was so disproportionate to the actual event, or that was so dramatic, or that was so melodramatic. Um, if you're like me and you have a hot running nervous system, there is a good chance you've either been told you're too sensitive, that was entirely out of line for the circumstance that happened, or you've thought those things for yourself, which can feel really awful, right? Like it feels terrible to believe that you have, reactions that are bigger than the average bear, or that you stand out, or that your reactions are not in proportion to the circumstance. So, what I want to do over these 5 days is just talk about some of the different scenarios and the ways that nervous systems, survival systems, that's my favorite new phrase for nervous system, your survival system, how it sort of gets trained, how it learns to have some of these reactions, and how when we can start to break some of this down and really understand it, we remove one of the greatest layers that holds it all in place, holds the suffering in place, which is shame. Shame and regret and not good enough and what's wrong with me and how do I fix this? So over the next 5 days, I really want to dive into each of these ways that the body tends to respond to things viscerally, physiologically, emotionally, and what we can do. Because one thing that, for me anyway, has not worked is trying to calm the nervous system. And I have seen time and time again that maybe that's just not what's being asked for. Maybe the nervous system, instead of being corrected, would actually like some companionship, some kindness, some compassion. So I'm going to start just with a brief little 1 minute background, and then tomorrow we'll just jump right in with some of the different reactions and responses that we hot running nervous system, we sensitive types tend to have, and how we can start meeting it without all the work of trying to calm down or trying to have a better nervous system. So, just really quickly, you know how we always hear, and I always say, your sweet mind, that adorable mind, and that survival system, they're always doing what they do because they care about your safety. They always want to keep you safe. Like that's their number one job is keeping you safe. But safe from what, right? Like, what does that even mean? Your nervous system and your adorable little mind are trying to keep you safe. And what I mean by keep you safe is your mind and your precious, wonderful nervous system simply want to keep you safe from having an experience, a feeling, an emotion, an overall visceral experience that it registered as dangerous when you were younger. Doesn't mean it was dangerous, it could have been. But when we're little, the nervous system and the mind are always scanning to what feels, the best word I can come up with is ouchy, like, ow, ouch, that hurt. So it might be something that brought about a feeling of shame, a feeling of I'm not good enough, a feeling of I'm bad, a feeling of I'm terrified. And it could be something little like your dad told you no, and something about it just activated that little nervous system, and the nervous system registered. Don't ever risk having that feeling again. So, for example, Let's say you were in a family that was very performance based and image based, then your nervous system will learn from any time that you didn't sort of live up to the expectation of the performance, and maybe a parent or a teacher corrected you or corrected you sternly or harshly. Your perfect, wonderful little nervous system and that mind will hold on to that, lock it into the system, and say, going forward, don't do anything that would risk being corrected, being called out. Do everything in your power to fit in, to fly low under the radar. Perform, perform, pretend, pretend, be a chameleon, be who everyone wants you to be, because that is the only way to stay safe. And remember, it's not to keep you safe as in from falling down or from anything major physically. Safe means to keep you safe from ever having that experience that you had as a child. Again, when we can start to understand how this all works, it's amazing how we can start seeing that these aren't personality defects. These are not character flaws. These are not overreacting. As we look more closely this week at all the different ways bodies like to react, to respond, what I'm hoping is that we can move away from correcting and attempting to calm the system and really move more toward a position of companionship, friendship, kindness, compassion. And we'll talk a little bit about some ways, just practical ways that we can do that. I look forward to the next 4 days with you all. Bye, guys.